But alright guys, we are indeed back for a PoE playthrough, and we're actually going to go ahead and mention the upgrades and what we've done to the character in a moment. I just kind of want to go ahead and do the lab here first, and then we're going to go ahead and show off where the areas are for the last two on the labyrinth, which are going to be in the Osprey, which is in Act 10, as well as the tunnel. And I'll also go ahead and, for all intents and purposes of being as thorough as possible, we'll go ahead and do those as well. And if you do want to go ahead and check those out, just go ahead and check out the timestamp. But I do want to go ahead and kind of do this out of order because I feel like it's better for content here, because I might rip on the lab, I'll be honest here. That's why I want to go ahead and make sure I can actually do the lab and complete it. I'm super over leveled, but I kind of saved it specifically for the recording purposes. And Azaro does a lot of physical damage, and we have 400 armor, which is absolutely terrible. But our dodge chance is high, but at the end of the day, Azaro hits for so much physical damage that you really don't have that much that you can really do sometimes as a ranger, especially when you have very low life, which is kind of what we wanted with this build, because I wanted to have a little bit more risk. It's kind of like, I guess, kind of playing like on hardcore, where it's more permanent, but I'm not like stacking life all the time. So you'll see that instead of going to the top right, which is what we do normally, we're actually going to go in the bottom over here, and make sure you try not to get hit by these. If you get hit by them, well, yeah, it's okay. We're going to get the golden key, and we're going to go ahead and go up after we open up the area with a lever. There's also like another path sometimes. There's sometimes secret areas, so keep that in mind, that there are sometimes hidden things that you can push. The lab actually has a lot of mechanics. Maybe we'll make a very dedicated video towards the lab, because this is my favorite area in Path of Exile. Like, in terms of like farming it, it's the hardest difficulty. You can actually charge people and to complete it for them. So a lot of people can't really do the final one themselves, so they pay people to do it. And by pay people, I mean, like, you know, chaos orbs and in-game currency, not like real life money. Although I'm pretty sure there's probably people that do it for real life money too. But it isn't easy. The last one, the second, this is the third one. And it is definitely much more difficult than the other ones. And it honestly just comes down to Azaro just doing so much damage. Oh, we should probably click on the, I gotta remember to do this, to check out where we need to go. So we're gonna go like bottom and to like the right. So it's not always perfect, but it's usually slightly accurate. It's probably just gonna be to the right. Oh. I'll try to copy it. Link arrow makes things so much easier. This is a hidden path. Switch right here. Oh, there we go. Look at this. Look at this. Oh, never mind. It's just... Oh, wait. We're going to be able to get a shrine permanently, right? What does this one do? Oh, this might be like life regen or something like that. I'm not entirely sure. Or is it draining our health? No, I'm pretty sure it's giving us life regen. But since I have Blood Rage, and I'll also explain what the heck that does, because we've actually upgraded the character a lot by just doing the maps. I haven't even gotten to yellow maps, so we've basically just been grinding out the maps at the lower tier side of things, so I can still show you guys like the mid tier and kind of the ins and outs of the Atlas and kind of the progression of our character. But I wanted to do this first. So later I will put on a basalt and a granite flask, but for the first two I'm not going to go ahead and do it because I'm not really too worried about him. He still can easily one-shot us, so that's still a thing. Azaro, as you guys know from the second one, yeah, he will absolutely one-shot you. It is very real. Well, our damage output is super high, but it's just the final one because he can teleport you into spikes, and then you really can't do too much, and you just lose. I don't know if there is a mechanic, honestly, to deal with that. Oh, one of these needs to be like killed in order for them to like actually be eliminated. Is it this one? We don't have to clear out every single area. And there are lots of other puzzles. Yeah, like I said, there's so many mechanics. I would need to make like a 1-hour video dedicated towards lab to explain every single thing. But there is a lot of depth to these mechanics. And like I said before, take your time, go slow. Or just blink out right past them. On the first like 2 fights of Azaro, because you still have to find him 3 times every single time. I would recommend just go Sonic fast. If you rip, whatever, it's not that big of a deal. Unless you're playing on hardcore, which I don't know why if you are playing on hardcore and you're like, I'm gonna watch Slaydra for the first time and I'm gonna go real hardcore, because that would be a very bad idea. Like, I think rolling hardcore this season or this league is an absolutely terrible idea. The league mechanic is so insanely difficult that a lot of the best players are just saying, dude, it's too hard. I really feel like they lowered it with the last few patches. Like, it's not as difficult, but it is still very incredibly difficult, especially if you don't have any chaos res, well, which is something that we've got -71. So one little tip though is make sure you go ahead and throw up your ballistas. We've actually swapped out the artillery ballista because it was just too much of a clutter. But we still have to be very careful. And just make sure we don't get hit by him at all. One hit by him is still easily RIP. It's just that on the very final one, I will throw a granite flask on. Because if he teleports you and then you get basically held in place because of the spikes, like you actually can't do anything about it. Like it's a very it feels very unfair, but there might be some type of mechanic to actually dodge him grabbing. Well, it's not really him grabbing. He just like straight up teleports you. Oh, okay. I don't think I've mentioned the blades that just slam on the ground. I thought I heard them. Oh well. This one's actually really fast. Wow, we're in 7 minutes and we're almost like at Azaro. I don't even feel like I'm trying to speedrun this. Coming up to the final moments. Oh, and we already know exactly where to go. Unless it's another like alternate path. That might be it. I guess it's fine. Let's see. If we go back, it actually is. Might be like just like right here. Sometimes you can go to the next level if you want. I think we got some pretty good RNG on this one. Watch out for some of these doors though. They will have like spikes that basically block your path. Alright, so what we're going to do, and this is a really good gameplay mechanic. So if you happen to have your other flasks inside of your chest, you can actually grab them and then come back out over here and actually fill up your flask by killing all these enemies over here, which is exactly what we're going to do right now. Because flasks fill when you eliminate enemies. Yeah, I want to fill them up all the way. This boss fight is like very, very risky because he does a lot of damage. So I'm basically going to go up to him point blank, pop all my flasks, and just hope he doesn't actually hit me. I know it sounds dumb, but like that's just kind of how this fight is going to be, because I decided to try to be a little bit more entertaining for you guys with very low life, because people like seeing the streamer die. They like to see the rage, right? All right, but there's going to be a lot of spikes here, and it can get quite intense. But let's go ahead and go in. So you see, there's a lot of spikes. You don't have very much room to work with, and there's also oh, I just noticed there's going to be another set of traps that we're going to have to deal with. Oh, he teleported me. You see that? We dodged that. We got lucky. That was... okay. That was, I know it looked stupidly easy, but I honestly recorded that was our second attempt on him, because he one-shots you. I mean, sometimes you just gotta get lucky and dodge. I actually did dodge that swing that he just, well, it was like the wave attack that he throws out. But anyways, we got him, guys. We've ascended to the 3rd one. We've still got one more to go ahead and do. But let's go and open up these treasure chests, see if we get any items here. Nothing. We armor is scrap. Hey, those are still good though. Although it's not ideal. But we did get a quartz flask, which I am already currently using, so we might have an upgrade here. We got remove poison, and we're going to be immune to poison. There's actually something on the Pantheon that lets us be immune to poison after capturing the Terror of the Infinite Depths, which I do plan to do here very soon. And I'll actually show off that gameplay mechanic here. But with the Divine Font, you're going to be able to enhance gloves, boots, or a helmet here. And I don't really know what I'm going to go. I'll just go for the boots here. So we're going to add an enchantment over here and 8 increased movement speed if we haven't been hit recently. Literally what I want over here because we don't really get hit that often here. And so basically that equates to just extra movement speed. And the more important thing, which is the Ascendancy, we're going to actually get endless munitions here. That's going to give us an extra projectile whenever we fire. Increase area of effect, which will affect the other buffs that we have. And then on top of that, we also get extra accuracy. So we're going to go ahead and put our point over there. And we're going to go ahead now that we've completed the Ascendancy. We're going to go ahead and go and show off the location at where those areas are actually at. In fact, they do kind of tell you. Actually, I'm just going to go use the website and I will post it. Actually, in almost every video, I'm pretty sure I posted it here. Ascendancy. So I'm just going to go ahead and type in the Path of Trial of Ascendancy, and it's going to be in Act. We'll do them kind of in order. So we did Act 8, and I don't remember the exact playthrough, but we did do Act 8. But we want to go ahead and do the Act 9 one right now. So Act 9 is going to be at the tunnel. So let's go ahead and go towards the tunnel. We'll go ahead and show off where the Ascendancy trial is at. But the monster level will be significantly lower, so it'll be very easy. I just want to be as thorough as possible and show you guys exactly, how to complete these things, because they're not easy. They are not easy indeed. And then we'll go ahead and show off the new upgrades, what we've done to the character, because things have changed quite a bit as I have tested. And basically, Ice Shot is just... Ice Shot got buffed, Tornado Shot got nerfed. Tornado Shot's nerf wasn't really that bad, but as the game progressed, I felt that Ice Shot was just such a better option. Mexico. Alright, we got another map over here. Oh, that new update went live. Oh my gosh, it automatically picks up the MetaMorph mechanic, which is so helpful. Oh my gosh, it's here, guys. I'm so happy. This is like the one update that I've been really waiting for. And it's not like I wouldn't have played this league, but I feel like the quality of life just goes up so much by them adding that little feature to where you don't have to pick them up and you can just go ahead and summon the bosses. It's great. Looks like our RNG wasn't lucky. It's going to be all the way over here. And for the last trial of Ascendancy, so here's the Ascendancy.
Fear gnaws at the entrails of the faithful and the faithless.
I like the audio, so we'll keep it.
Of the unknown, fear of the future. An empire requires leadership that can assuage those fears through example, through wisdom.
So this one you just want to be kind of careful that you're basically in between blades. You can move over there if you really want to dodge every single one. But I love the trial of Ascendancy. Like, you feel so smart when you accomplish it, for the first time, especially when you do it by yourself. Oh gosh, I love that mechanic so much. I see all the things getting picked up. All right, so that's how you do the one in Act 9. Whoops. And let's go ahead and go back into town. And we'll go ahead and do Act 10, which is going to be at the ossuary. So Act 10, ossuary. Might be like at one of these. Okay. So we don't have the waypoint, but it's like, I'm pretty sure it's like right next to it. Yeah, it's like right next to it. See, we're good. So this is where the next one is at. I believe it's this one. Mortal Syndicate.
Ah, good stuff. I was dying for a bit of it.
And that was from the Betrayal League. Okay, that's for the Skeletal Hideout. I'm pretty sure that it should be. It says it's an ossuary, but the only place you can go in here, I believe, is through here. I see this. And here it is, the Trial of Ascendancy. We'll go listen to it.
A leader cannot simply stride forward into the future and expect his people to be able to follow.
So this one you can just watch these little
over his shoulder,
cannons, if you will.
Understand the consequences of the path.
But also you can RNG and you'll get it like every time.
That his people are still with him to ensure that he has not become lost.
This one you want to kind of like stay in between, and then you can use whatever mobility option you have. Oh, we're also running Blood Rage on cast when damage taken, which is completely unnecessary. This one, when I first played, it gave me the most trouble. But now that we've shown that mechanic off, let's go ahead and hop in, do some more maps, and show off what we've done to the character, because we've done a lot. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and go back. Actually, we should just go to the hideout over here. Okay, so another thing, I don't think I mentioned it, but as far as the hideouts go, there's lots of different hideouts that you can have, and you can actually select them by going into the town and choosing what you want to have as your hideout. And there are some that you can purchase, but they don't like do anything different. Like they cost real money, but it's just like a different little map here. But so here's what we've done to the character. We've gotten a lot of different items, and let's just go ahead and go over them. So we've got a Hope Shredder. I ran a different skin over the item, but it normally doesn't look like this. So what this does is it gives us bonus cold damage when we have frenzy charges. We're going to actually gain frenzy charges when we use our ability, but it adds a bunch of damage. So it's cold damage, attack speed. Then it gets increased movement speed per frenzy charge, as well as extra bonus accuracy. And then you'll see there's also 2% chance to avoid elemental damage from hits per frenzy charge. So it lets us kind of just again, completely negate that by getting frenzy charges. Frenzy charges in this game will allow us to get extra, it's more damage. More damage is a multiplier, so it's, instead of being like additive on most of the numbers, more damage is better than damage in this game. Just think of it that way. But we're also getting additional cold damage per frenzy charge, but we also gain attack damage, leeches life per frenzy charge. But here's the downside. We take 200 cold damage taken per second per frenzy charge while moving. And currently we have 5 frenzy charges. We will definitely get that up. But we're also going to be taking a lot of damage through that and Blood Rage, which is something that we'll also explain in a moment here. And then as far as our chest piece, it actually isn't a very good chest piece, but it does happen to have a 6 link. I got this for relatively cheap. And what it does offer is just the links. The stats on it are really mediocre, and they're not that important at all. It's just a good item because it has 6 links here. The helm, we are running Rat's Nest. I don't recall if we had this in the gameplay before, but it's Rat's Nest. It gives us extra attack speed, crit chance, and then extra movement speed, and makes our character a little bit smaller. And I don't think we're running anything different in here. I'm running Shrapnel Ballista instead of Artillery. The reason why is because it just got too much on the screen, and it made it more difficult to dodge certain things with all of like the fire coming down. We also removed Lionized Paws, which were the boots. I actually picked those up for relatively, well, cheap, but it was like 10 chaos, but then we sold them for 20. So sometimes with Path of Exile, you can actually pick up an item, and then when you're done with it, you can just resell it. Sometimes you can resell it at a higher price if you are lucky and you get a good deal on it early on. But as far as our ability that we're using, because remember we were using Ice Shot instead of Tornado Shot. So we're running Ice Shot, Elemental Damage, Ice Bite Support. This is going to make it so we're going to be able to potentially get Frenzy Charges when we kill enemies that are frozen. And then on top of that, we get extra bonus damage, and then we get more bonus damage for cold per Frenzy Charge. So if we scale Frenzy Charges, we're going to actually do a lot of different things. And then we got greater multiple projectiles instead of lesser, because we can do a little bit more damage. So we can have less damage with the build here with the reduction of greater multiple projectiles. So like lesser multiple projectiles, you only get 2 projectiles, but it doesn't make the damage as low. So let me go and actually kind of explain that real quick. So less for multiple projectiles, you can see it only makes us deal 6% less damage. But with the greater one over here, we deal 27% less damage. So there's a huge difference in that. And then we have cold penetration. That's going to just do more damage because we pierce their resistance. And then we have added cold damage support. And then as far as our rings go, we're running opal rings. So we're getting increased elemental damage and then whatever the bonus stats on it. Doesn't really matter to me. Like the lightning resist, I don't really need it, but some of them will have some extra resistances over here because you definitely want to try to get as much resistance as possible. But as far as our quiver goes, we're running this quiver that gives us extra elemental damage, but also crit. We're actually running crit for two different reasons. One, crit will apply freeze. How freeze works in Path of Exile is even if you have on our chart here, it'll say like our chance to freeze. Let's say it says 15%. Actually, we should go to this skill. So we'll have 30% chance to freeze with our ice shot. However, the thing is that it doesn't mean that we have a 30% chance to freeze, because how freeze works in Path of Exile, they freeze at certain intervals of HP. It depends on the monster and it can depend on other factors. But for the most part, you can only freeze them once they reach certain thresholds on HP. So you can't perma-freeze everything by doing low damage. If you do have enough damage, you can freeze the enemy, and even if they're frozen for like, I think on average it's like it's 0.6 seconds. If you are doing enough damage, you can reach that threshold of, let's say, like going from like 100 HP. You can, if you freeze them on that, and they go to, let's say, 75, and you freeze them again, and they go to 50, and then you freeze them again. Like you can perma-freeze stuff, but you have to do enough damage to be able to sustain that. You can also freeze them off of crit. You don't have to have that chance to freeze. Chance to freeze actually comes from certain items too, but don't try to go for it. If you just roll crit, it's going to be more valuable because crit does more damage, plus it does freeze, and you're also just not going to be able to like overcome the threshold. Like I said, if you're only doing, let's say, like 1 damage, but you have 100% chance to freeze, it will not perma-freeze them. I didn't know about that, because again, that's a mechanic that, with Path of Exile, this game's complex, and sometimes you just have to look it up on different websites and stuff like that. But yeah, that's a mechanic that needs to be explained. So we're just, I already went over the rings. There's nothing too spectacular with them. It just adds elemental damage. And then we're running this amulet allocates Holy Dominion. So Holy Dominion is going to be a passive that grants us extra elemental resistances and elemental damage, and we have a chance to freeze, shock, and ignite, and we get increased physical damage. The physical damage doesn't really matter because all of our physical damage is going to be converted into cold damage with the weapon cold damage passive, as well as Winter Spirit. So this is 20% off of this, 20% off of this, and Ice Shot actually makes it so it converts 60% of physical damage, so therefore we have 100% physical to cold conversion. In addition to that, we've got these Oscarm gloves. This makes it so we're going to be actually able to curse enemies with level 10 Assassin's Mark per hit. That actually allows us to get extra power charges, which will grant us extra crit chance. We also have extra crit chance per 200% accuracy rating, which is kind of like, if you want to think of it kind of like what dexterity adds. So dexterity in this game will add accuracy, and depending on what skill we are using too, because that can actually factor in. If we go to our chart here, select the Ice Shot, we can go ahead and go down to the, where is it? Accuracy rating, 3,815, so that'll give us bonus based off of that. For a belt, we're running this one because it gives us strength, it gives us some armor, but honestly, the cold damage is okay too, and we're also getting cold damage to just life, and also 10% chance to freeze. I will not be running this, it's just because I happen to pick it up cheap. I would rather have a leather belt that adds a lot more life, pretty much, and I can get something that rolls like strength and life. It's not that big a deal. For the boots, we're running Dark Ray Vectors. This will give us +1 to maximum frenzy charges, which is a mechanic I didn't really get to explain yet. But we will show it off at the gameplay, but frenzy charges, they benefit our character quite a bit, because it's also more damage, more attack speed, and this will increase it by 1. Default is 3, so we have 4. And then we also put 1 point to the frenzy charge over here. So we're gonna get +1 to maximum frenzy charges, and that will help out. So that'll actually be 5 frenzy charges. You can get, I think it's like 8 or 9 is max. You'll have to roll certain things to get it, so it might not be the easiest. But that is as far as like the changes we've made to the character. And as far as the map goes, like I said before in my last video, is basically just grinding out some of these maps, and it just takes some time to go ahead and grind them out. We're still on white maps, so we're going to just go ahead and run one, and I think that'll be a good wrap up, and then I'll just end up continuing, and I'll update you guys in the future with some more stuff. So let's go ahead and put some currency into these maps. Let's go ahead and do a 5. One thing we're looking for is not to reflect cold damage. If there's something that says reflects cold damage, that's something that I don't really want to deal with. Because, yeah, if we have only cold damage, then we'll one-shot ourselves. It's kind of unlucky. Have I looked at using hypothermia support on our ice shot setup? We're actually leveling it up, I believe, on this over here. So right now, I mean, I'm pretty much one-shotting everything. If you have any suggestions, or if you're watching this on YouTube and have suggestions, definitely let me know. So right now I'm running Ice Shot. Obviously, I have to have that. Have to have Elemental. Ice Bite, I need that for the Frenzy charges. Greater Multiple Projectiles, I have to have that. Cold Penetration and Added Cold Damage are maybe things that I can swap out. So, I mean, this one adds just flat, like, number damage, whereas this one it might be like, whoops, the one we're leveling up is on this bow over here. So this gives us more cold damage over time, and it deals more damage with hits and alignments against chilled enemies. So again, more damage is better than flat damage, but we also have a 10% chance to freeze enemies who are chilled, and it increases the effect of chill, which means they'll be even slower. But hello Jin, hello Nano, how you guys doing in the chat? Sorry, I had to like explain. Oh wait, hold on, we need to actually run. Oh, we didn't. I don't know if we explained the flasks, because we did kind of swap up the flasks here too. You know what? We didn't go over that. Let's go ahead and go over that. So as far as the tree goes, don't remember the exact time we left off, but I started pathing over here. This is an item I believe we got. I don't remember what part it was, but it buffs up Ice Shot, makes it so it pierces additional targets as long as we have 40 dexterity within this little radius here. And we have 1, 2, 3, and then 4, and that will be 40. And then pretty much we've been just getting some life where we can, and then we also picked up this over here, which gives us extra penetration. Penetration is actually pretty great. And we got this little section of nodes here, and then we got some crit over here. I'm not going to get Critical Strike Multiplier because I plan to go for Maligra's Virulence, which actually makes it so no matter what, your crit will always be 300%. So I'll actually start respeccing out of certain things. I actually specced out of Master Fletcher. I felt like we had enough of the attack speed. I mean, it's not a bad thing to have, but I just really wanted this cold conversion, and I might actually have to spec for life because this league is actually very difficult. Anyways, yeah, let's go ahead and finally continue. So we got a series promise. I think this is something I talked about before, but the person that we were trying to get it from just never responded. But when we pop it, it makes it so we're going to get extra damage. Oh, actually, hold on. Yeah. We're going to get extra damage via physical and elemental, and we get to leech the chaos damage. And then we've got a Diamond Flask, which makes it so our critical strike chance is lucky. What that means is our attack rolls twice for the chance of crit. You could almost think of it as double chance to crit, but it's not quite double chance to crit. Basically, the chance of trying to crit on someone is doubled. I don't know, that sounds weird. Okay, basically this is what happens. It will roll twice, if that makes sense. So if you don't crit, it'll try to roll it again. It kind of is double, if that makes sense, but it's not. I know it doesn't make sense, but that's just how it is.
Not allow sin to overtake purity.
Okay. So these guys will just kind of pop up as we kind of complete the Atlas, and we'll actually have to talk to someone. I'll mention that in like the next part of our playthrough here. Oh, you know what? Okay, something I didn't mention is these other gems. Okay, there's just so much to mention since our last update. So I'm running this thing called cast when damage taken. What that means is when I take damage, a certain threshold, and I'm specifically keeping this at level 1. It's permanently going to be at level 1 because I want it for basically Blood Rage. So whenever we take a certain amount of damage, which in our case it says it'll trigger the supported spells when we take a total of 528 damage. So whenever we take that amount of damage, we're also going to be activating Sealskin. This makes it so we will be taking a little bit less damage. It absorbs partial damage over here, so it's where is it? It absorbs 70% of the damage taken, which can absorb 464 damage. And it's a very small amount. You used to run what was it? cast when damage taken, and there's one where it made you immune to physical, but then they basically nerfed it, so most people moved on to this. Basically, just we'll take less damage, and then Immortal Call. Thank you. That's what it was. And then we're also running increased duration, so it lasts longer, and we're also running Blood Rage. What Blood Rage does is you can manually cast this, but everyone always forgets because it only lasts a short amount of time. But it makes it so we can gain some physical damage, leeches life, but we don't really leech life. The most important thing is we get 8% attack speed, but we also take 4% of our maximum life as physical damage per second. And then on top of that, we also happen to have 25% chance to gain a Frenzy Charge on kill. The Frenzy Charge on kill is like meh. It doesn't really matter that much. The most important thing is it's basically free 8% attack speed. Yes, we do take more damage technically, but I'm going to be in a mid-fight anyways when it activates. And you'll see the buff over here. It looks like a guy with red eyes. And then into that with our minion here, we're running a Stone Golem. I probably should put something else in here. I'm not sure what yet, but I'll mention it next time. I actually just finished getting these gloves. But we're running Blind, so the Golem can actually blind. Blind will make enemies miss. And minion life support. Ideally, I would have also minion life resistance or meat shield, so it can actually absorb more damage. But that's what we have currently right now. And also, we're also running Frenzy and faster attacks. This attack over here will allow us to apply our Frenzy charges. So when we go ahead and attack with it, we're going to have a chance to gain a Frenzy charge if it hits. Or I think is it 100%? As long as it hits, I guess so. And Frenzy charges are going to be these little things that you'll see hovering around our character, those little green ones. But we're not using it for damage. We're only using that for boss fights. But yeah, our clear speed is actually very fast. So in this map, what you got to do is basically eliminate 2 of these bosses, and then a final boss at the very end, and then we'll try the Metamorph League for all intents and purposes. But usually, we got a multi. What was it? Ooh. Oh, almost died.
Look at this guy.
Oh, we got something good. That's another unique. Something's doing a lot of damage here. Okay, we got him. See, that's why I like low life. It makes it more intense, right? Because if I roll 5k live and I would just steam through the content, I don't know. I feel like it's less entertaining. People like to watch the streamer die, or if you're watching this on YouTube, the people. It makes it more entertaining because you get to see the guy's reaction. He's more frustrated, right? So the Blisses now pretty much do 0 damage at this point. They are just simply used for being able to distract the target, and also sometimes on bosses they take a second to activate. They're going through their phases. Go through the portal. So you have to fight 2 of these bosses, and then at the very end you'll fight the actual boss, which is basically just KO. Oh, I love this new mechanic of the auto pickup. Oh, it's so nice. It automatically picks up the parts of monster. You can see I'm permanently freezing them, but again, you can't really perma-freeze them if your damage is too low. Otherwise, people would just stack freeze and they just permanently freeze every boss in the game. So Assassin's Mark is a curse that we're going to be applying on the enemy from our gloves. So like I mentioned before, it'll give us power charges, which is extra crit, but it also will give us a higher chance to crit just in general, and they'll be taking more crit damage. Which I'm not actually sure if that works with Malivros or not. Because that's them taking more? I don't know, it doesn't really matter, it's 20%. But I mean, it's free. So we'll go ahead and try to keep these power charges up. So on the boss, I'll open up with Frenzy, so I can go ahead and build those charges if the boss is by himself. But if he's summoning a bunch of adds, then I don't have to. But yeah, the Frenzy charges are a huge extra bonus source of damage. Easy claps. Alright. Go ahead and summon the boss. I do want to put a portal here because we might actually die. Because these are very difficult. These Metamorph bosses, oh my gosh. Especially when you go ahead and just max out the thing, it doesn't become very easy. There's 40 more damage, 400% more life. Let's go ahead and go in. Alright, so like I said before, we'll always open up with Frenzy.
My mana is gone.
Gonna watch the ground. And I guess we got Kaom coming out again. And then in between the phases of the MetaMorph, like kind of swapping, we'll also go ahead and put down the totems. It lets us have another target to kind of distract. I gotta really watch the little like orb explosions on the ground. That if that hits us once, it's ripperoni. So that's why I like the low life. It makes it so intense on these things. Most people won't be willing to like play this league at very low life because it's hard. Like you literally get hit once and it's game over. I want my golem. It's already dead for the extra regen, but I don't know if we'll get it. We'll probably end up just killing the Metamorph before that happens. But yeah, I swapped out the artillery ballista because it just clutters the screen and I can't see these little orbs on the ground because they do so much damage. Oh, there we go. That was a clean one. Whew. Sometimes at the very end, though, you get hit by something. It's so disappointing. I saw that happen to a few hardcore players. I think Ziz, which is another popular Path of Exile streamer, he like just finished the league mechanic, and then on the ground there was one of those like little orbs that popped. And sometimes like you just can't see it. You're like, okay, I'm just gonna go loot. You gotta be on edge, man. But we gotta level up on our gem here. That was a nice little closure here. But I wanted to mention something else in this part that's actually very important that I didn't actually know about. Because I mentioned when we went back into town, I was like, okay, we could buy all the gems now. But you saw that I couldn't do that. You actually go to Lily and you can purchase all the items. But there's a quest that you have to do, and I guess I skipped out on that. So the quest is actually called tier. I think it's this one. Yeah, you get a legendary teardrop. I've already completed it, so I can't show you exactly the tier, but it's super, super simple. All it is you click on the little tier icon, and it'll say go over to this area, and then you open up a chest, and it just comes out. It's nothing special that I should need to show you guys. I would be very thorough and show you guys, but I can't like double show you guys because I already completed the quest. But it's very easy. All you have to do, and then you just give it to her, and she'll say thank you, and then you can purchase all the items. But anyways, that's going to be it for this part of our PoE playthrough, and I'll update you guys very soon on the future of it once we kind of get to yellow maps, and I'll explain more of like the new mechanic. But anyways, thanks for tuning, guys, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Have a good one, and I'm signing out. Peace.